Good evening. As a result of last month's programme, there have been 4 arrests so far, and the way inquiries are going, there are more in the pipeline. We'll let you know in due course. But among the disappointments is that nobody so far has come forward to identify the house that the Cheshire schoolgirl was taken to when she was abducted early in January.
I want you to describe the man to me as best you can.
He was about 30, 35. About 5'10", taller than my dad. Stocky build.
What kind of hair?
Dark brown. Collar length, and it was gel back.
Well, more than 350 people called, anxious to help, but no one came forward to link that series of specific details: a fair-haired toddler, a blue hatchback car, a dog lead, those kitchen units, the woodblock floor. Perhaps somebody somewhere is still wrestling with his or her conscience. If that's you, please, you can ring tonight on 0500 600 600. If you like, you can ask to speak to one of the BBC researchers here, who are, as usual, answering calls alongside the officers investigating tonight's cases.
This month's first reconstruction takes us back 2 months to a cold Wednesday in mid-January, and it takes us to a suburb of Cardiff, St Mellons. Claire Hood, a 15-year-old, was murdered while truanting from school. The whole community is anxious that her killer has still escaped detection, and hope that in the next few minutes somebody will recall sightings or reawaken suspicions about someone who'd acted oddly at the time. The story starts and ends in Cath Cobb Woods.
Come on, let's shoot off to the bridge. No, come on, eh?
Did you see him?
Matter.
There's a guy over there with a hood on.
Where?
Over there.
Can't see no one.
That's because it's too late. He's gone now.
Claire and her friends often played in Cath Cobb Woods. In fact, the woods are quite close to her home. Her parents were separated, so Claire and her younger sister lived with their mother. Claire was in her 4th year at Rumney High.
Claire, you're late. I've already been to work and back, and you're still here. Out of bed, Claire.
All right.
On is the cold water treatment.
She was a great kid. She's not just a daughter, a friend. She shared my clothes with me. I shared her problems if she had any with her. Sometimes I had to play the mother.
Claire, I can't believe you're not at school yet.
I know, I'm going.
You can laugh, but I'm the one that has to answer to the teachers.
I know the pool competition. Got my trophy next week.
From the youth club?
Yeah, said they'd engrave my name on it. I can't wait.
Great. First of many.
I know.
Now, off to school. See you later, love.
Okay, then.
Be back around about 7, usual time, all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Ta-ra, Mum.
Bye.
Hiya. Turn lamp, please. Come on, I'm gonna be late. Ta. Got a light. Yeah. Do you walk down to meet Bill and me?
No, I can't. Why?
No, I'm just bored.
Claire, got a space to grab, please.
No, it's my last one.
Okay.
This is the last definite sighting of Claire. Where did she go next?
Meadow. Meadow.
When I turned round, this man suddenly appeared in front of me on the path. He was aged about 25 to 28 years old. He was about 5'6", 5'10". He wore dark clothes. His jacket had a hood, but it wasn't on his head at the time.
It's now 3:20. Was this Claire, or could it have been you?
Good boy.
You ready? Almost. We'll leave that. It's freezing. He obviously was in a great hurry. I would describe him as 5'6" to 5'8" tall, slight build and dark complexion. The man seemed to come from the woods.
Claire? Claire? Claire!
Awful thoughts were going through my mind, as it was out of Claire's character not to be there. I always knew where Claire was going, and she was never late from school anyway.
Elaine? Yeah, Claire, she's not around at your place, is she? No. She's not back, you see, and, well, I was just getting a little bit worried because, you know, she never does things like this, no. Well, did you see her leave school, or? No, I gotta go. I'm gonna try and ring Kelly. I've rung round all her friends, and nobody seems to have seen her, you see, you know. All right, yes, I'll do that. I'll ring the police right now.
Called the police. I then began a search with some friends around the area of St. Mellons. I felt I had to do something myself. And we ended up in Cathcart Woods. A last resort, really.
Oh, she'll be fine.
Oh, God. Oh, so...
She'll be fine.
What am I going to do?
Probably look down through years, eh?
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll find her.
Yeah.
She'll be okay.
Anything
we'll
over there?
find her.
No.
Oh. Come on this way.
It was freezing that night. Claire's body was discovered in the morning. She'd been sexually assaulted. I know you've had overwhelming help from the local community, Colin Jones, but you still want to get to new witnesses. Now tell me who. You were telling me just before we came on air, people in Cathcart Woods, even though they didn't know Claire had nothing to do with this, you still want everybody who's been in the woods to talk to you. Why?
That's right. Well, we're working on the theory that the person responsible for this had an intimate knowledge of the woods, and therefore these people may have seen the culprit in the woods on a previous occasion.
Even though they had no idea of that, you still want everybody to come forward?
Yes, everyone that uses those woods, please could they come forward, whether it was on the 18th or prior to the 18th of January this year.
What about friends of Claire?
Well, there's been a general reluctance by some of the friends of Claire to tell us all that they know in relation to the Cathcart Woods, or indeed habits of Claire. I think there's a variety of reasons for this. That's all I can assure them. They have my personal assurance that they will not get into any trouble, and I ask them to impart in us any information that they're withholding.
So if they've been truanting from school or underage smoking or anything else, you're not interested? I mean, this is a murder inquiry. You're not interested in that?
That is correct.
Will you protect them from that?
Yes, I shall. They have my personal assurance.
OK. you have actually got some other sightings of youngsters in the woods at the time. Just tell us about that.
Yes, we have a sighting at 3:20 of a girl standing on a bridge, and to that end we're appealing for anyone to come forward. Also, there's a motorist who saw 3 children, school children, run across the Willowbrook Drive towards the general direction of the woods. 2 boys and a girl. It's possible that the girl was Claire.
But if not, or even if it was, you desperately need them to come forward.
We desperately need them to come forward,
OK,
yes.
this is Wednesday the 18th of January. Now, there was a man also, apart from the one that we've seen, somebody else seen coming out of the woods.
Yes, at 3:25, a man was seen running from the general direction of the woods, across Willowbrook Drive, towards Brookfield Drive. He's described as being 6 foot tall, slim build, fair complexion, fair hair, and had somewhat distinctive clothing.
He had this, or at least this is a replica, of the fairly distinctive hat he was wearing. We should stress, he's not a suspect. You want him to come forward to eliminate himself.
Yes, we would like this person to come forward to eliminate himself.
OK. If there's any way that you can help, please do, particularly if you're a youngster, you haven't come forward up to now because you're worried you might get into trouble over something. I mean, don't worry about that. Call us, please, 0500 600 600. It's a free call here to the studio in London. If you prefer, you can dial the Rumney Police Station in Cardiff. That's on 0122 277 4285. That's 0122 277 4285.
Well, officers investigating last month's photocall cases all reports very strong leads. A man wanted in connection with a series of deceptions saw himself on Crimewatch and called in at his local police station. He was arrested and then handed over to another force to be interviewed on similar offences. He's since been charged. We can't say a lot about our other cases at the moment, but things are reported to be progressing well. But now here are Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames with this month's photocall cases.
This is Adrian Paul Bannister, and 9 police forces would like to speak to him in connection with a series of deceptions. Since April last year, a number of women throughout the south of England have had property stolen from their homes. Paul Bannister is 33, 6'5" and of heavy build. He has numerous tattoos, including a bulldog on the back of his right hand and skulls tattooed across his knuckles. If you know where he is, please call.
Between the 19th and 31st of January, this man held up 4 building societies in the Midlands area, armed with a handgun. Here he is at the Alliance in Leicester in Stratford-upon-Avon on the 24th of January. It's believed his name is Ronald Lawrence. He's 5'6", in his late 40s and was last seen in the Gloucester area. Please call us if you know where he is now.
My colleagues in London are anxious to trace this man, Bashir Lazabai, in connection with a grievous bodily harm and deception. You may know him as Dr. Bashir. Born in Libya, he's 39, 5'8", of medium build and has a thick beard. He may be with his 3 children, who are 5, 7 and 9. If you can help, please call us.
Cambridgeshire Police want to speak to these 2 about a series of deceptions. Last summer, a number of transactions throughout the country were made using a stolen chequebook. Here's the woman leaving Lloyds Bank in St Ives last August. On the 14th of October, this man attempted to use the same chequebook in the Royal Bank of Scotland in Swindon. Take another look at the woman. She's 5'7", of slim build with long dark hair. The man is between 20 and 30 and of average build. If you recognise them, or if you can help with any of our other photocall cases, please call us now.
0500 600 600. It's a free call, so please don't hesitate if there's any way you can help. 0500 600 600.
This next appeal is to find 2 armed men who robbed a jewellery shop in Sheffield shortly before Christmas. Officers working on the case feel there are grounds for high hopes that viewers will recognise something tonight. There's a particularly good description of one of the robbers and a stolen car which has never been recovered. It's believed the men probably aren't locals, so identification could come from anywhere in the UK. Some of the people who were caught up in the robbery have taken part in our reconstruction, which starts in Sheffield on the morning of the robbery. It's Saturday, the 10th of December. This is Eccleshall Road, a popular shopping street near Sheffield town centre. The La Roche jewellery shop is co-owned by Colin Percival.
Well, I've been in the trade about 20 years, more or less, from when I left school. And we started the business up about 10, 11 years ago.
Hiya, Caroline.
Hi, Caroline, how are you?
Oh, freezing and fed up. I tried to do some Christmas shopping
Yeah.
last night.
Oh,
down
dear.
Medwall. Just murdered it was.
Hardy's next door is a gunsmith.
Where do you want to go shooting tomorrow?
Simon's father owns the shop.
What do you reckon?
John has worked here for nearly 10 years.
Right, then we'll go there.
Right.
Hi, do you sell 8mm caps at all?
We do, yeah. You're £15 for 50.
It's now shortly after 5 o'clock and getting on for closing time.
So long. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Did he take it?
Yeah. For his girlfriend. Apparently they're getting engaged.
Kettle's just boiled. What would you like?
Oh, coffee, thanks.
Okay.
Frank, mate, how are you?
Hey, Colin.
How are you?
I'm all right. I've got some new stuff for you to look at.
Great, let's have a look.
Hi, Frank.
You've been quite busy that day because of coming up to Christmas trade.
Take a look at these chains, Colin.
Mr. Ian! Mr. Ian! Do as I say! Get down! Get down on the floor! Right down!
Come on, man, hurry up.
Simon, call the police!
It's all right, we've done it, we've done it. Are you all right, Carol? Come inside the shop.
I was walking home from a football match and I noticed a man in La Roche Jewellers filling a bag full of the contents of the front window.
Hurry up.
Okay, that's enough. Come on, let's go.
What do you think?
Come on, let's do it!
I ran after them because I thought I could get a car registration number and I could give it to the police.
They're gone.
Stop! Don't come any further.
When I first saw the gun, I was totally terrified. It was this man had my life in his hands. I backed off, and Simon went straight past me.
Is this what you want?
He fired it, and the first bullet ricocheted off the pavement and flew past mine and Simon's head.
That ain't a real gun.
He pointed it straight at me, and when I didn't feel anything, I thought it was a blank firer.
You want to try again? You want some more?
Colin, watch the shot.
I heard the second shot and I thought that he actually shot him to put him on the floor, then shot him again to finish him off.
And Simon had been shot in the knee. We sat on the wall after he'd been shot for, I don't know, it felt like hours, totally sort of spaced out with the whole event.
It felt as though somebody had hit me with a hammer. I could see the blood was coming from my knee. My only thought was, what's my father going to say? It could have been a lot worse than it was. He could have just aimed point blank at me and shot me in the chest, in which case I wouldn't be alive.
Well, Simon was really lucky there. That bullet just missed, shattering his kneecap. Steve Wyatt, apart from their ruthless use of firearms, and they were both armed with guns, how much else do you know about those two?
Yes, well, we have a video fit of one of the offenders. The other one, as you saw in the film, was wearing a scarf. But the one that we have a video fit of is about 25 years old, he's about 5 feet 10 inches tall, he's medium build, he has a moustache and goatee beard, and quite distinctive, short, funky type dreadlocks. He was wearing a dark coloured coat with a hood. The other man, he was also about 25 years of age. He was a little taller, about 6 feet 2, and far heavier build. He was wearing a 3/4 length leather coat. Both spoke with very strong West Indian accents.
And that second man was wearing trainers like those?
Yes, he was. Our forensic team managed to raise an impression of a footprint on the broken glass inside the shop. And we know that the second man was wearing these quite distinctive Reebok Exofit trainers. Now, we've spoken to Reebok and they say that these were not available for sale until autumn of last year.
So they're relatively new?
Yes, they
might
are.
jog somebody's
Yes.
memory. Some passers-by did actually witness their escape.
Yes, 2 witnesses saw the raiders run from Cemetery Avenue into Stoke-Lees Road and watched them climb into what we believe to be a dark-coloured Peugeot 205 or 306 hatchback car. Now, we can't tie any particular car down to this robbery, but we are very interested in a Peugeot 205 GTI, which was stolen on Paternoster Row, which is in Sheffield city centre, and only about a mile and a half away from the scene. That was stolen on the 2nd of December, just 8 days before this offence took place, and we have not yet recovered that car.
So if somebody sees that, and the registration incidentally is G422YNC, it's if only to eliminate it from the inquiry, that's very important.
That's right.
Right, thank you very much for the moment, Steve Wyatt. There's a reward involved in this case too. If you have any information at all that you feel might be of use, please do ring us, either here on our usual number on 0500 600 600, or you can ring Sheffield headquarters, where DI Wyatt's colleagues are expecting calls. That's 0500 050 099. That's a free call number, 0500 050 099.
The response tonight so far, I must say, is really tremendous. On the Cheshire abduction, a number of calls with new information. One in particular, one mustn't get too excited, but one in particular does look very strong indeed. On Photocall, I've just seen one where, frankly, there's no doubt that the caller must have seen the person in question. On the checkbook deceivers, we've got names for both of the people. There's really quite a lot coming in. But really the one that's perhaps the most interesting is on the Claire Hood murder. Colin Jones, you've seen we've got a lot of calls. What sort of information is it?
Mostly suggesting people who may fit the description of the person seen running from the woods, and indeed suggesting culprits.
Now, you've got quite a lot of names as far as I've seen. How easy is it going to be to eliminate them?
It's going to be very easy. We have a DNA profile of the culprit, so that's all I ask is people to keep ringing in if they suspect any person who committed this offence.
So that no one need fear about getting someone into trouble wrongly. Not a problem.
Not a
Instant
problem
elimination.
at all. Instant elimination.
Good. Thanks very much indeed. Well, the calls are still coming in thick and fast. Bear with us if you can't get through. We must move on, though. Time doesn't allow full reconstructions on every case that merits an appeal. So here is Incident Desk. Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames.
First, the murder of a taxi driver in Nottingham. In the early hours of Tuesday, the 22nd of November, a milkman discovered the body of Ethsham Al-Haq Ghafoor slumped in his cab. Mr Ghafoor was seen driving his taxi, as usual, in and around Nottingham city centre on Monday, the 21st of November. Here he is, paying for his weekly taxi rental at around 11:30 p.m. Officers would like to hear from anyone who rode in Mr Ghafoor's taxi that night. It's a distinctive black and white Ford Sierra, registration G165NMW. It has a purple tassel hanging from the rear-view mirror. In particular, we'd like to speak to 3 passengers seen travelling along Burton Road, Carlton, at around 2:30 a.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd of November. If that was you, or if you can help in any way, please call the incident room on 0115 967 1999. That's 0115 967 1999.
Last month, 2 men bought a VW cabriolet in the Bedfordshire area using a stolen cheque. The men and the car have not been seen since. Calling themselves Simon Black and Jazz, they first test drove the Golf and then returned 2 days later with the cheque. The car is blue and its registration number is L559KEW. A number of cheques have been stolen in Newcastle under Lyme in April 1993, and since then over £500,000 worth of goods have been bought fraudulently. If you recognise these 2 men, then please call. They were about 30 and slim. Simon Black is white, had dark, tidy hair and was smartly dressed. Jazz is Asian, 5'10", with black permed hair and casually dressed with a green blouse-on jacket. If you know where these men or the car are now, call the police at Biggleswade on 0176 731 2222. That's 0176 731 2222.
Next, a special appeal on behalf of Queen Sonja of Norway. This pearl and diamond tiara was presented to her family by Queen Victoria. This is a photo from her private collection. The tiara is unique and was stolen along with several other items from Garrard Jewellers in central London. It happened Sunday morning, the 5th of February, at the back entrance in Warwick Street. Perhaps you saw 3 men loitering in the area. All are described as white and aged between 30 and 45. The first, who was armed, is well built, between 6 foot and 6'2", and was dressed as a motorcycle policeman. The second is slightly shorter, of slim build, with black collar-length hair. The third man had short dark hair and was probably wearing a suit. The men drove away in a dark blue Volvo Estate, which was abandoned at approximately 10:45 a.m. that same morning in Farringdon Road. If you saw anything or can help in any way, please ring the Flying Squad direct on 0181 577 4245. That's 0181 577 4245.
On Wednesday, the 1st of February, 34-year-old Julie Norman was found at her home in Southend, Essex. She'd been battered to death. Julie lived alone at her home in Sherwood Way and worked locally as an accounts clerk. She was last seen alive the night before her death on Tuesday, the 31st of January. Then, in the early hours of Wednesday, the 1st of February, 2 men were seen running out of the front door of Julie's house. They disappeared in opposite directions. Did you see them? A dark-coloured Fiesta, possibly brown or black, was seen near Julie's flat on 2 separate occasions shortly before she died. The first was on Monday the 30th of January, and the second 2 days later at 6:50 a.m, that's 40 minutes before Julie was found. The car was parked in exactly the same place. A local resident noticed 2 young men and a woman in their late teens sitting inside the car. If that was you, please call. You may have vital information. A number of items were taken from Julie's house, including jewellery and a handbag like this containing credit cards and a chequebook. If you can help in any way, please call the incident room in Southend on 0170 243 1212. That's 0170 243 1212.
And finally, about 2:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 4th of October, this man went into Lloyd's Bank in Southway, Plymouth, claiming he wanted to give money to the Rwandan appeal. Instead of giving, he took. The staff were forced into a back room at gunpoint before the man emptied the tills and left. The man's described as 50, 5'9", stocky, and had gold-rimmed reactor-light glasses. He wore jeans, a dark top and a baseball cap, and carried a Unicam plastic bag. If you recognise this man, then please call us. There is a reward. The incident room number is 0175 272 0451. That's 0175 272 0451.
And a number here in the studio once again, if you can help with any of those appeals, 0500 600 600. Free call 0500 600 600. Incidentally, you may remember last month on Incident Desk, we appealed for your help to catch an armed gang who robbed an audio store in southwest London. As a direct result of viewers' calls to the programme, 3 men have been arrested. 2 have been charged with robbery and a firearms offence, a third with handling stolen goods.
A special appeal now at the request of West Yorkshire Police. Over the last 6 weeks, a series of sexual attacks has been reported in Leeds, 13 altogether, all within a 2-mile radius, and the attacks are becoming increasingly serious. The first report came on Saturday the 4th of February. At 10 to 7 in the evening, a woman was waiting for a bus outside the Arndale Centre in Station Road, Crossgates. She was going to babysit for friends.
I was standing at the bus stop. I've been waiting about 10 minutes for the bus. It was late. There was nobody about except for a man across the road who actually started walking towards me. And I just thought he was going to get on the bus, you know, like anybody would. But in fact, he actually went by me and he put his hand inside my top and he actually touched me and ran away without saying a thing, and it actually left me stunned, shocked.
Well, in the 3.5 weeks following that incident, 12 other women have been assaulted, and nearly all of those assaults took place to the east of Leeds city centre, around Crossgates, Whitkirk and Holton. And 3 of the attacks happened on the same night less than 2 weeks ago, on Friday the 3rd of this month. At around 8 in the evening, in York Road, the offender rugby tackled a woman. She was lucky, passers-by intervened and the man ran off. An hour later, on the Hulton estate, a quarter of a mile away, a second woman was approached and she was threatened, but after a tussle, she managed to scare him off. Then, less than an hour after that, at about 9:45, a woman got off the bus in Selby Road. She was walking up an alleyway towards home when a man approached her.
When I got to the top of the alleyway, I realised that somebody was behind me. I stopped to let him go past. He said something offensive to me. I carried on walking, and then he produced this knife and frog-marched me to the garages. Told me to go in the garages and raped me. It was so dark, I had nowhere to run, so I knew that if I hadn't done what he said, I had no chance, and I'm just lucky to be alive, and he just raped me and left me.
Well, she managed to call for help at a nearby shop, and Roy Kent, your officers arrived just a few minutes later.
Yes, police officers quickly arrived on the scene and found this lady in a considerable amount of distress.
So, these are getting much worse. How urgent do you think it is now to find him?
It is very, very urgent to catch this man. We regard him as a very dangerous individual. His offences have gone from ones of indecent assault and have gravitated into the most serious offence of rape at knife point.
What sort of person do you reckon he is?
The man we're looking for, we believe, is a sexually immature young man who probably works in the evenings. All these attacks have been committed between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. in the evenings, and for that reason we believe he may work. We also believe he's a local man.
Right, so you're in no doubt at all that it is the same man carrying out all these attacks?
We are quite satisfied that all 13 attacks have been committed by the same man, yes.
What's his description?
Yes, he is described as being a white male in his early 20s. He's 5 feet 8 inches tall, of slim build. He has brown collar-length hair, parted in the middle. He has a thin face, and it's described as having a pointed chin. The clothing he was wearing for the attack on the lady who was raped was a long brown three-quarter length coat, and it's been described as being too big for him. He also had blue bell-bottom jeans and white trainers. The rape victim has described him as being a hippie type.
And there haven't been any more attacks since the last one. That was the Friday before last, on the 3rd.
Yes, that was the last attack that we've had.
So it's possible that he may, with all the local attention, have changed his appearance?
It's quite possible that he has, in fact, changed his appearance, yes.
OK. Well, thank you very much indeed. If you can help, here's the number. It's 0500, once again, 600 600. Or you can call Yorkshire Police Direct, and that number is 0113 241 3789. That's 0113 241 3789.
Margaret Wilson was 66. A great-grandmother and a popular figure in the little village where she lived, Burton Fleming in East Yorkshire. On Thursday, February the 9th, in the middle of the afternoon, someone, for no reason anyone can think of, ran after her down a country road and killed her. 2 people witnessed the whole thing. The Wilson family have farmed at Eastfield for 3 generations, and till last month, Margaret, together with her husband, still helped out their son.
Is he all right?
You get your stuff inside, Mum. I'll shift it later.
The son, Alan, took over this farmhouse 12 years ago, and his parents moved down to the village. But this home remained the focus for all the family, including Margaret's daughter, Heather.
Hi, Mum. Look, I've got to go. I've just dropped some stuff off for Dad. I'll be late for work. I'll see you on Thursday, though, about 2 o'clock. Oh, lovely. And drive carefully.
She's a very homely person. Her life revolved around the family. She loved the children, and now the grandchildren. Any children, she just absolutely loved. She loved the countryside. She had to go for a walk every day to get some fresh air. She thought fresh air was the cure for everything.
Thursday, the 9th of February. This is Burton Fleming, a mile from the family home.
It was very cold. On the Wednesday night, we'd had a little bit of snow. I noticed a white car coming up the road. I saw the car 4 times, what I'd call crawling up and down, really slowly. I wondered what it was up to.
It was a white Montego estate with black roof rails and with black plastic trim along the side. Just round the corner is the house that Margaret and her husband had moved to.
Oh, there you are, just in time. I've made this pie for young Mark. Oh, Mum, you shouldn't have. Mind you, he'll love it. Thanks.
When I visited, I would very often go home with some sort of home-cooked something or other. She was just very thoughtful.
Oh, no more for me, thanks, Mum. Really, I must be going. OK, love, I'll come with you if you don't mind. I need some fresh air. Just drop me off down the road.
That afternoon, 2 tractor drivers were working close to the Wilsons' farm.
Hey, Martin, what do you want to do at this headland? Do you want to go up it?
I don't know. I think if we go back to the other end, by the time we get back to this corner, it'll be about 4 o'clock. It'll be time for me to go home.
Meanwhile, back in the village.
Just take me down to Eastfield. That'll give me 20 minutes walk.
Fine, OK.
I heard a car slowing, so I stopped. Just the way it was staring. It was frightening. Very frightening. I wanted to run.
See you then.
Hey, hell now, have you seen that bloke over there? Looks like he's running after Mrs. Wilson.
Bloody hell, he's jumped her.
By the time we'd got sort of halfway across the field, the man was just about to run back to his car. So as we reached the road, he was in his car and driving off.
Martin, over here.
There's been somebody attacked down by the road. Can you get an ambulance?
You know what? What's happened?
Have you got a telephone?
Yeah, of course.
I just got hold of her hand, her arm, and you could tell there was nothing there. It was something that I couldn't really believe, even though I was there, holding her hand. But somehow it wasn't my mother. I just couldn't believe it.
Tony Corrigan, this is an appalling crime, and I know it's one that you fear could be repeated in time. You've actually, apart from the car, which we'll come to in a moment, you've not got an awful lot on the man, have you?
Well, one would think so initially, but actually when we look at the few clues we have, we can in fact eliminate a good percentage of the population. Now, the man we're looking for, he's described as 6 foot tall. He's described as about 30 years of age. He's got brown hair, collar length, and is flicked up at the edges. He ran 350 yards to kill Mrs. Wilson, and he sprinted 350 yards back to his car. Now, to do that, he must have a reasonable degree of fitness. We don't say he's fat or thin, but he was certainly fit. Now, the type of man who might do this, he could come from anywhere in the country. The description is vague, but it eliminates a lot of people.
Now, we've got a video fit of him. One of the witnesses came down to London. This is the first time any picture of him has been shown. I don't know how confident you are of this, because obviously the witness at the time didn't realise anything about the seriousness of what might follow.
Yes, it's only a description, it's an artist's impression, but I wouldn't want anyone to sit at home thinking they know who the killer is, but not telephone us because he simply doesn't fit all the exact description of our offender on the profile.
Now, one of the things that you know, or pretty sure about the offender, is that he felt very comfortable using knives.
The style of killing Mrs. Wilson indicated the killer was very, very comfortable holding a knife. Now, when we look at that, we think, well, is he a serviceman? Has he worked in the industry whereby he's been killing animals?
We're very reluctant, for very obvious reasons, to show murder weapons on this programme. It's ghoulish apart from anything else, but the detectives are very, very anxious that we show you this. Now, why are you so keen that viewers should see this knife?
Well, first of all, the knife, which has a 4-inch blade and is made by Adams of a Sheffield company, the blade itself is actually discoloured. There's blackening across the blade.
Mm-hmm.
We have failed to establish what caused that. It's some continual cutting created, but we haven't determined what it is. So I'd ask the viewers, first of all, do you recognise a knife? Is one missing? And importantly, what has a knife been used for?
Now, this car, that's the best clue you've got. Now, we should point out, you don't want people to ring and say, oh, well, I happen to know somebody's got a white Montego estate with these black bits of trim and black rails on the top, because there are tens of thousands of them. You know them all.
Yeah, quite, tens of thousands. But if we can connect the Montego car, estate car, or similar car, with the knife, with the description of our offender, we will eliminate a lot more people and get closer to the suspect.
OK. Now, there is, in addition to this white Montego, another car. This one is not a suspect at all. It's a possible witness. Tell us about it, can you?
A most important witness. It's a red GTI-type car with a spoiler, travelled past the scene towards Burton Fleming just prior to Mrs. Wilson being murdered. That driver may unwittingly have invaluable information for us, and I'd ask him or her to contact us immediately.
OK, this is at 3:30 p.m. Thursday, February the 9th. It's exactly 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks today, yes.
So if that could have been you, please call. If there's any way that you can help at all, please call. And that's 0500 600 600. It's a free call. 0500 600 600. Many of the detectives on the case are actually here in the studio, but their colleagues are in the incident room, and you can call that too. It's on 0148 285 6556. That's 0148 285 6556.
Well, we really are getting a tremendous flow of calls here. 2 out of the 4 photo call cases have generated quite a big response. A police officer has phoned on one of those cases with some useful information. The Sheffield armed robbery, we've had some names suggested for that, and some people think that they've been offered some of the jewellery from the robbery, so that's being followed up. There's one name on one of the cases that police are very interested in. I'm not going to give any details at all, not on the case or the name, because I don't want to jeopardise inquiries as they are, so I'm sorry about that, but as soon as we can let you know what's happening, I will. But that's a fascinating call. Incident desk, we've had some names suggested for one of the cases there. Once again, we have to be a bit vague at this moment, but the calls really are coming in thick and fast. 0500 600 600 is the number, and the lines are open until midnight, so please do call if you haven't got through yet.
I don't think there's any doubt there's going to be more to report in an hour from now when we come back with the Crimewatch update at 11:15. With viewers' help, we could make sure none of the crimes we've seen tonight happens again. If you can't stay up till the update programme, we will of course be back next month. Don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Good night.
Good night.